up, guys? Today I'm doing my winter pit bike update. And originally I had planned to just winterize the bike for storage through the winter, but with the way that the weather has been, it was warm for so long that the cold just kind of snuck up on me, and I really just kind of ran out of time to winterize the bike. Also, side note, this freaking cat will not leave me alone. So if you hear that noise and the camera is shaking, that's this guy. So because I wasn't really able to properly winterize the bike for storage, it's important that I keep the bike running. Maybe just get out and ride for a few minutes, or if nothing else, at least start the bike up and let the engine run for 15-20 minutes. So now I'll go through the things that I was able to do just to kind of prepare the bike for the winter season. First thing, as you can see here, is, let me zoom in, I have bought a dirt bike stand, and I bought a lift stand, which you saw in a previous video where I put it together and tried it out for the first time. And I made the decision to go ahead and get one of these for the winter season because it is important. My bike is going to be sitting for, pretty good periods of time. So it's important to get my tires up off of the ground. And the next thing I did was I filled up my gas tank. And I made it completely full. And the reason I did this, I read somewhere about if you fill your gas tank up completely, then it doesn't allow for as much condensation to get in the tank, which you obviously don't want water in your engine. So I filled that up as well. And the third thing I did was I changed the oil, and that's just a necessary thing. It's good to have clean oil in your engine, and it was getting about that time anyway. So fresh oil, new gas. And then the final thing that I did, I took and I sprayed WD-40 on everything that's silver or chrome, whatever you wanna call it. Everything that essentially doesn't have any type of paint coated on it is vulnerable to rust. So I went through, and anything and everything that doesn't have paint or plastic on it, I sprayed it down with a little bit of WD-40 so that hopefully that will prevent from rust. And I also did my cables, and then on top of that I also put some chain lubricant on. That's also really important because your chain will also rust. So those are the things that I did just to kind of winter prep the pit bike. I probably, might have missed some things. There are probably maybe some more important things. I'm not positive. This is my first year of actually having and storing a pit bike and having it through the winter. So this is kind of like a trial run, and I'll figure out what works. Maybe do some research, find some better things that I should do. But that's just what I've done for this particular year. And then, just the last thing, of course, is at least once a week, I will get the pit bike off of the stand and I start it up. Now, the thing about my pit bike, or this particular pit bike, it's probably the same in all of them. It does not like the cold weather, which is fine. It's expected, and I'm not worried about it. So what happens when you start the pit bike, anytime you rev the engine at all, really, once you start it up while it's so cold out here, it just completely bogs down and wants to die. What I have to do is I'll just start it up, let it run, and set idle for about 15 to 20 minutes to really warm up the engine. And, once I go through that and the bike sets and just runs and warms itself up, it runs just like normal, and it doesn't bog anymore or anything like that. So yeah, it kind of does take a while for it to really properly warm up, but I'm not surprised by it. And it's really not a big issue. You know, I just start it up and then go inside and let it run for a while. And then I'll get out, maybe do a couple of laps around. So it'll be an interesting couple of months. Like I said, I've never had a bike that I've had through the winter like this, where it had to be maintenanced and everything like that. So it's a trial process for me. Like I said, I'm just gonna see what works and what doesn't, and I'm gonna start the bike up so you guys have a little bit of a demonstration of what it's like when the engine is just like completely ice cold, and so you can hear how it just kind of bogs down. And then I'll come back, you know, 20 minutes later or whatever, and I'll rev it and everything like that, so you guys can see that the bogging and all that is not a real serious issue, just a cold engine, and it resolves itself. Okay, so I've cold started the engine, and it will rev when the choke is on, but when you pull the choke down into the running position, the bike just completely bogs with any type of revving. And you can hear it, the idle, kind of slow down a little bit just because it is so cold. Once it warms up, it'll be okay. So give it a little bit of rev, and see, just completely dies. So start it up again and just let it sit here and run. Then once it warms up, we should not have any of that just bogging down and dying. Okay, so now you know what that's going to sound like when your bike is just cold. So we're just going to sit here, we're going to let this run for about 20 minutes and warm itself up, and then it should be good to go. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes that the bike has been sitting out here just idling, warming up, and you can already hear that the engine itself, the idle is a lot more steady, it's a lot stronger, and so now we should be able to rev the engine, no problem, no bogging, nothing like that. So let's test it out. It definitely sounds better, definitely red. So far so good with the winter and the cold weather. Like like this whole video was about. It doesn't necessarily like the cold weather, but once it gets warmed up, it's really okay, and it runs fine and it runs strong. Alright, so that's gonna conclude this video. Sorry if I've kind of been rambling a little bit, and I know that I have. Sometimes it's just really hard to explain everything and explain what I'm thinking, and when it's 20 degrees outside, it's even harder because I can't think at all because I'm just freezing cold. But this is everything that I've done to kind of winterize my bike and keep it up through the winter, keep it going, keeping it in running order. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you back in 2 weeks.